This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the horrorofbabylonpodcast@gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/thehorrorofbabylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to episode 120 of the Horror of Babylon, where we discuss The Ghost in the Darkness. All right, we watched a movie about lions. And Daniel and Hef are here, and I'm also here.
Hi, Hef.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi,
Thank you, Abby. Mother of lions.
Tamer of tigers.
I made a playlist that's called Lions and Tigers and Bears. Oh my.
Is it just attack videos?
No, it's our episodes.
Oh.
Cocaine Bear, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
That's a great playlist.
Yeah, No Beast So Fierce, the Beast line in this movie.
We're gonna have to do more of these.
Yeah. Okay, but seriously, thank you to Abigail the First, Bringer of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben the Fourth, Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain, yeah.
And thank you to Sierra the Sixth, the Keyblade Patron. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall of Robinson, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at horsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it in the show, make it into the store, say hello to the proprietor, Ronald III, Grandpa of Christmas, who is probably lying around. Trigger warning. Animal attacks. Ryan's jokes. Animal attacks, violence on animals, our history with The Ghost in the Darkness, and I've never seen it.
I made a comment a couple times back where I said that, like, when I was growing up, my mom only ever had like 4 movies playing, and this was one of them. So I'd seen this movie half a dozen times before I sat down as an adult and was just like, okay, I should probably actually try to watch this movie. And watched it as an adult and enjoyed it. I enjoyed this movie a lot. I have a soft spot for this movie.
Daniel.
As a kid, I watched this movie because I wanted to watch a spooky movie, and this was like sold as a spooky movie. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be an example of Daniel being super stupid, and I was sitting there going, "There's no ghosts in this movie."
This movie sucks.
Yeah. I'm like, these are just lions. They just shoot the lions. When I watched it again as an adult, I liked it way more, but I distinctly remember that as a memory linked to this movie, me being like all butthurt that there's nothing supernatural in the movie.
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
Background, it's based on the book The Man-Eaters of Tsavo by John Henry Patterson, which is a nonfiction book about his actual experience as an engineer on the Uganda-Kenya Railroad project, building the bridge over the Tsavo River. This film was directed by Stephen Hopkins, who is the second unit director on Highlander. He directed Nightmare on Elm Street 5, the 1998 film version of Lost in Space, and Predator 2.
Okay, I like most of those movies.
I I've only seen Predator. I've only seen 5 minutes of Predator. I haven't seen any of those movies.
He was trying to give it credit. And just quit.
In terms of television, he worked on Tales from the Crypt, House of Lies, and 24. He was also the director and executive producer of the pilot episode of the Amazon Dark Tower series, which Amazon dropped like a bag of potatoes back in 2019. That's a whole fun story in and of itself. This movie was written by fucking William Goldman, who wrote Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Princess Bride, both the novel and the screenplay. He wrote Misery. He wrote the screenplay for Hearts in Atlantis and the screenplay for Dreamcatcher. So, whoo! The music was written by Jerry Goldsmith, one of the most loved film composers from Hollywood. William Goldman pitched this movie to, I forget which studio, as a cross between Jaws and Lawrence of Arabia.
That is a leap. That is a fucking leap.
But you can kind of see, like...
I do.
Yeah.
I get what he's saying, but that's still a fucking leap.
Kevin Costner originally expressed interest in playing the lead role, but Paramount turned him down to try and pursue Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise declined the role. Of course, it eventually went to Val Kilmer.
Tom Cruise was like, I don't get to fight an actual lion. I don't want to do it.
Yep. Tom Cruise's condition was that the lion's manes couldn't be bigger than his mane. And they would have been more historically accurate if they would have accepted his condition, but they said no. So the role of Remington, who was eventually played by Michael Douglas, was offered to Sean Connery. He said no. Anthony Hopkins, he said no. And they were considering some guy named Gerard Depardieu, but Michael Douglas, who was a producer on the movie, just decided, oh, fuck it, I'll play the character.
That's the most Michael Douglas thing I've ever heard.
Yes.
I'll just fucking do it.
The movie was shot in South Africa. The story itself took place in Kenya. Critics were very mixed on this movie. Roger Ebert said, and I quote, "The film was so awful, it lacked the usual charm of being so bad it's funny," and added that it was an African adventure that makes the Tarzan movies look subtle and realistic. Roger Ebert put the film on his list of the worst movies from 1996.
Was I Roger Ebert when I was 10?
Yes.
There's no ghosts in
Q Kelso. Burn! This movie had a budget of $55 million and unfortunately only took in $75 million, so it was a giant flop, huge failure for the studio.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
Structure and themes. I have a bunch of notes. Maybe, okay, so maybe before we go into my whiny bitching notes, maybe we'll just go around and give like our general impressions on the movie. Go ahead, Daniel.
I don't know. I had a fun time with it.
I have, again, this is like a soft spot of a movie for me. This is also kind of in the same vein as you. Like, this was pitched to me as a scary movie. Mm-hmm. So whenever I sat down and watched it as an adult, because I never really watched it with my mom. I was always told it was kind of a scary movie. Like, it had a lot of stuff going on. So when I watched it as an adult, this was like my first kind of big boy movie where I by myself sat and watched my scary movie. Also, not too dissimilar from you being like, there's no ghosts in this movie.
There's no ghosts in the movie.
I had kind of a similar thing where like, this movie's not scary. So, movies like this appeal to me. I always love movies of adventure. Like, this one is a lot more grim than a lot of adventure movies, but movies like The Mummy, you know, like any sort of Indiana Jones adventure film, like I don't know, like a destination or a journey, a hunt of some sort. Like, movies like this always just catch me in the right. They just catch me in the right place. I love movies like this.
I also like movies like that. I don't feel like this is a movie like that. Basically because it's it's based on real historical events. So I personally can't really compare it to something like The Mummy. But
I think it's an adventure film, though. Like, to me, it's an adventure film.
I had a really, really unusual experience watching this movie. So me sitting down to watch this is I'm expecting to like this. It's a history movie. It's an animal attack movie, which are both things that I really like. I really love Michael Douglas, and I really don't like Val Kilmer. So I'm sitting watching this, and I think the better half of the movie is the first half of the movie before Michael Douglas shows up. So as I'm watching it, I'm sitting there, and I'm not appreciating it as much as I should have, because I'm so sick of Val Kilmer. When is Michael Douglas going to show up? When is Michael Douglas going to show up? And then Michael Douglas shows up, and I'm like, I love Michael Douglas. I think this is like his worst performance by like a long. Like he's terrible.
I have a note, but it's only because I have like meta knowledge of like the movie and the real events, and I don't know if it's because I have that knowledge that I have this note on the character. He felt like a fan fiction character to me, and it turns out
he's fucking made up.
Yeah, he's an amalgamation of like 6 different people.
So as I'm watching it, I'm like, this doesn't feel like a real person. And I knew nothing about. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos about the Man-Eaters of Sappho, but I did it after I watched the movie, so I wouldn't be prejudiced by
I
real.
mean, that's fair. So you had that feeling even not knowing.
No, I was watching. I was like, he doesn't feel like he belongs in this period. He feels like Michael Douglas in a costume.
He feels like Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, that's like, I was like, he's just like Michael Douglas if Michael Douglas was a hunter.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel like he belongs in the story. And then, of course, as I'm doing research on it, they fucking totally made him up. Yes, he's based on some other people, but not people who are actually there.
Yeah.
Just like a composite of other historical figures. John Patterson. He didn't have. I mean, he worked with other people there who were a part of the project, but there wasn't some American hunter that they recruited to help kill the lions. That's completely made up. And so I'm in the second half of the movie, and I'm like, I cannot wait for Michael Douglas to die. I want him to go away. And then he finally does, but you don't get to see it. I was so mad. I was like, I wanted to watch him get screaming and dragged from the tent.
They just kind of wake up. Uh-oh.
The movie is not known for being historically accurate.
I can't imagine why.
The two kind of main things are, one is Michael Douglas's character. The other thing is the number of deaths. John Patterson's book, he says that the lions were responsible for 135 deaths from railway workers, if not more. In the recent era, they've actually been able to do chemical tests on the lions' pelts to see how many people they've eaten, and they've only been able to verify between 28 and 31 actual deaths.
The only counterpoint I have to that is some people speculated that they were just killing
and not eating.
them.
Yes, and I did see somebody who tried to argue that.
I don't know if I buy that.
I don't either. I think it's...
unlike Corbett, this guy, it strikes me as the dude who might exaggerate a story.
Yeah. I think it's more likely that he was writing a book and he
embellished.
Yeah, he feels more like the colonial character.
I found a cave and it was filled with the skulls of their victims, which they finally found the cave. I think it was in the past like decade, but they couldn't find any proof that there was ever like mounds of human skeletons in the lion's cave.
Yeah.
I also did post-watching research for this.
Yeah. This one, after reading the Tiger book...
I still want to read this book.
After reading the Tiger...
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, after reading the Tiger book, this guy very much felt more like the colonial thing that Corbett was very much against.
And you know what the difference is? This man is British and Corbett was Irish.
Yep. It also... This movie does a lot of the things that the author of No Beast So Fierce criticized. So in that book, Dane Hucklebridge was talking about how a lot of British media at the time always reflected the British hunters as being like saviors of the indigenous people, and how the indigenous people involved in these tiger hunts were like incompetent and cowardly, and always would turn around, run away and scream, and it was always the British people who were like leading the charge and would actually kill the animals. And this movie does the exact same thing.
It didn't bother me.
I'm not saying that it bothers me. I'm saying that it is.
I don't have any commentary for it.
No, yeah, you're 100% right.
The British dudes had guns, the other guys didn't. I would have ran too.
I mean, I also would have run.
Yeah.
The moment where this movie made me the maddest was when Val Kilmer, Abdullah, who's like the leader of the like Indian group of workers, and they're leaving because people are dying.
Yeah.
And Val Kilmer like goes up to him. He's like, fine, but when you go, you tell the wives of the men who died that you were too cowardly to face your fear. And I'm like, bullshit. It's a job. People are dying. They can get a job somewhere else. It might be hard, but you're a fuck. Another thing that bothered me about this movie is it villainizes the animals, and it doesn't really like even take a whack at trying to explain why the animals are doing what they're doing. Now, granted, in the movie's defense, this movie is from 1996, and a lot of the like studies about man-eating cats that have determined that they're usually created by ecological reasons, or they're...
I can't criticize it for that, because a lot of like the information we have on the lions is super recent. Comparatively speaking.
The criticism I'll give is that it's aged badly. I'm looking at a movie made in the 90s with 2024 perceptions, and I understand that when this movie was made, that these people didn't have the knowledge that we have now, and so it's not fair to criticize them for it. However, it still doesn't change how I'm perceiving the media that I'm watching, and it just kind of feels icky.
It doesn't bother me at all, so...
This movie feels distinctly 90s. I will 100%.
It feels 90s, it just doesn't bother me.
See, that's and me too. Like, there's a portion of my life that I was growing up with this movie in the background. So, like, adult me kind of wants to like this movie, because it's a piece of nostalgia. It's hard to... I like some dog shit, let me tell you. And I know for a fact that there is some absolute dog shit that I love. And this movie's just kind of like, I can recognize it has a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. But it's just one of those things that I can still sit down and enjoy it.
I mean, I think the biggest issue is the screenplay was written with the man's book as a template, as opposed to, like you said, modern knowledge that we have on the lions.
Yeah.
So it really could have, I mean, I guess you could argue should the movie have been made, but if we never discovered that knowledge, then it'd be like, well, these tigers were just pissed off. Or tigers, lions.
They were pissed off they weren't tigers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they have better bite force. They eat the bones. My biggest problem is that the lions had manes.
Yeah. The lions were maneless, and they went after they were killed. John Patterson skinned them and took them home as rugs, but he had the skins and the skulls, and he eventually sold those to a museum in Chicago, which turned them into taxidermied lions, and so you can actually see them today because they're still on display. I forget the museum it is, but I think it's the Field Museum in Chicago. They did not have manes.
Speculated that that's one of the reasons why the traps they set up wouldn't work, because they were designed to like catch fur, and since they didn't have manes to get caught in like those bushes that they were setting up, that they could get under them easier or just hop over them. I did a lot of research about lions after watching this again.
Yeah, I did too. Any other... I also thought this movie had a lot of opportunities to kind of point out the flaws of British colonization of Africa and just kind of decided not to do that at like every opportunity.
I just don't think that was the point of the movie. I didn't need it in the film.
The time frame makes this movie very strange to watch if you're coming in with new age, recent age expectations.
Yeah, but that, with the line, like not being able to explain that lions become man-eaters because of dental damage, that's new age knowledge. Colonization being bad, that's something we knew in the 90s.
True, but how often is that ever talked about in movies such as things? The only thing I can even think of is like one that's like...
Hiya! Happy Easter!
Maybe it's just
Disney did it with Pocahontas in the 90s, so what's their excuse?
But really badly, though. I mean, yeah, you have your Native American stuff like that, but they really Americanized Native Americans. I mean, that's just from my perception as far as looking at things. I think they made a movie that they wanted people to come and just be entertained and scared of, and that's what they made.
Yeah, I agree. I think the fact that it's based on nonfiction events makes it harder for me to enjoy.
I can understand that.
Yeah. Well, okay, it's based off of nonfiction events. They wouldn't have had... He didn't write about his colonialization. He wrote about, here's the troubles that we were specifically dealing with. So that's what they portray in the movie. Like the railway, they're like, hey, we need to put this on hold for a minute, and they just tell him no. That's about the extent that they could really, unless you wanted them to invent like a conversation for it.
Yeah, I just don't like the romanticization of it when like the real facts about why they were there, why they were building this railroad in the first place was, about making rich people in Europe richer. It wasn't about making travel for the people who lived in the area easier. It was about the ivory trade and how it was actually probably a bad thing for the people who lived in the area, but we're glossing over these facts to focus on the magic white man who comes and saves all the black people from the scary animals.
I mean, that's what happened.
That's what he said happened, and it's probably what happened, but I think that when you're basing a story off of nonfiction, you should use that as a conversation starter to talk about what actually happened. And it's fine to make a scary movie about scary animals that kill people, but if that's the goal, I would have done something like way looser.
I'm just not bothered by it at all.
I think you're looking ideology versus entertainment. And back then, and even now, these days, like you still get movies that's the ideology of the movie to the person who's making the film is irrelevant. They're just trying to make it entertaining to get money.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. Like, this movie, to me, I don't have as a big... Like, I understand what you're saying, but that doesn't bother me as much with this movie because I can watch this movie and tell you that, like, an important piece of it, ideology and conservationism and all the other stuff that they should bring up, they just don't, because that's not what their goal is with this movie.
I agree.
So, to me, that just doesn't bother me as much. I agree with what you're saying as far as, like, if you're going to go from a nonfiction perspective, you should probably be a little bit more constructive with your storytelling. But that's just not what happened here.
It is absolutely not what happened here.
Yeah.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Characters, Michael Douglas.
I also really wanted to see him fucking trashed.
Yeah.
He's a fan fiction character. I don't have
to
describe him.
Yeah.
He just stuck out like a sore thumb to me.
He does.
He sticks out worse than anything else in this movie.
Yeah.
That was by far the biggest thing, like watching it as, a few years ago, where I was just like, God, he just seems so odd to be here. And everything else worked in a weird way. He just didn't. Like, he was just so weird to be there.
The movie really wants you to care when he dies.
Yeah, and
I just didn't.
Yeah, I did care because he was gone.
Well, okay, but I'm like, I didn't have an emotional connection to this dude.
I didn't have an emotional connection to anybody in the movie, but
I feel like the movie would have been better served without him.
I think not only setting aside historical accuracy, yes, it would be more historically accurate without him, but I also think just pure storytelling and entertainment-wise, it would have been better without him.
He feels intrusive, because a lot of the stuff that they do in this movie are claims that like he claimed they did in the book. Like the boxcar trap, and the, setting up with the old hospital with animal guts and stuff is things he allegedly tried to do. But in this movie, a lot of it's coming from the American guy.
Well, it was John Patterson's idea in the movie too.
Yeah, but
the boxcar
trap was
not the hospital. The hospital was Michael Douglas's idea.
Yeah. So it's like, have you ever? I'm trying to. It's like when they. It's like in a video game when you have an optional character who wasn't made for the cutscene, so they're just kind of sitting in the background. Yeah, do you guys have any examples of what I'm talking about?
No.
An optional character?
That wasn't made for a cutscene.
Yeah, like Final Fantasy VII, if you unlock Yuffie, because she's not a required character, if you unlock her, she'll just be in the background of the cutscenes, just not really doing shit. Because they don't...
Oh, buddy, that's new age. That's new video game stuff. Like, from previous games when you had something like they're just not there.
That's 1997. I mean, that happened in the original game.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember.
You're not talking my language. I have no idea.
Okay, well, he felt very inserted.
Yes, because he was.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer, when Val Kilmer is out acting Michael Douglas, something's wrong.
You're not a big Val Kilmer fan, are you?
I mean, okay, to be fair, I just haven't seen a lot of Val Kilmer movies.
I also couldn't tell you what I've seen.
To be fair, there also aren't a lot of them.
I mean, I'm struggling to think of something other than this.
If he's been in 20 movies, I'll be shocked. Like, the only ones I can think of are
Batman,
fucking Batman Forever,
Willow,
The Island of Dr. Moreau.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, that movie's really bad.
And Alexander?
Yeah, I have seen that.
I haven't seen Alexander.
I think he was his father, right?
He's been, holy shit, 103 movies.
That surprises me a lot, because I couldn't tell you hardly 10.
Top Gun Maverick. Oh, so just some of the big movies.
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick, Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Okay, that's not the one I was expecting to be the second movie listed.
Well, I'm just Planes. Oh, yeah, he was in Planes. I forgot about that. I'm just Tenacious D to be the best. Oh, and of course, Tombstone.
Oh yeah, no, that's his best role.
It's like the one Western I've seen.
Buddy, him as Doc Holliday is worth watching. The rest of the movie is not. But
I disagree with that. The best Doc Holliday was Michael Douglas's father, Kirk Douglas.
Which movie was that?
Gunfight at the OK Corral.
I have not seen that one.
Yeah. Oh, he was in The Love Guru.
Have you seen Tombstone?
I've seen part of it.
Okay.
I've tried to watch it twice and haven't finished
it. The movie itself is not very good. I don't like it at all.
Deja Vu with Denzel Washington. I've seen that movie. So I've seen... And Alexander, yeah. So he's actually been in a lot of movies. I think he just doesn't tend to make an impression on me. He played Moses in The Prince of Egypt. Okay, that's his best movie.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Did he do the singing portions? Probably not.
I don't know. He played Moses and God.
Well,
that was probably
when you peak, I guess.
That was probably part of his stipulation. He'd be like, okay, I'll play Moses, but I also want to get to be God.
He played Jim Morrison in Oliver Stone's The Doors.
I don't think I've made it through an entire Oliver Stone film.
I don't know if I have either. I probably have. I don't know.
It's kind of he's one of those director writer people that like they say you should watch him, and then like I can't get through.
Didn't he do Alexander?
Did he? I thought that was somebody else. Oliver Stone's usually like he's
Oliver Stone IMDb.
He's usually like kind of that. I don't want to say propaganda, but like he usually has movies.
He does very controversial.
Yeah,
movies.
He does a lot of controversial shit.
Okay, so Platoon, I have seen, is a great movie. Born on the 4th of July, I have seen, is a great movie. What else has he done? The Doors I have not seen. JFK I have not seen. Nixon I have not seen.
Natural Born Killers, I think, is one he has also done.
Any Given Sunday. He did do Alexander, which I have seen. Other ones he's done that I have not seen. World Trade Center, W, Snowden. But yeah, he's done some good movies. All right, Val Kilmer was good in this movie. He did a good job.
Yeah.
It's probably his most Val Kilmer movie.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means
I
either.
don't know. I just wanted to say it.
It's the.
I
will tell you that whenever I think of Val Kilmer, this is the movie I think of.
I keep forgetting he was Batman.
I think of Batman Forever is the first movie that comes to mind. Yeah. That was also, I believe, the first Batman movie I saw.
I keep thinking of George Clooney, and then I realize they're not the same person.
No.
Same director, different Bruce Waynes.
Different Batman.
Yeah. One had nipples, one didn't. One had Jim Carrey, one didn't.
I had the Jim Carrey.
I remember the thing the most about this movie that I always have this thought whenever I'm watching it is whenever I see Val Kilmer and I'm just like, buddy, how'd you get those highlights in the 1800s?
I must have missed that.
He's got like real fucking it's basically streaks of blonde in there. It's really
sun bleaching.
But it's like in a line.
It's very Hollywood.
It is. Oh. It's so funny.
I guess I don't tend to pay attention to people's hair.
It was just it was just something that pops out to me.
John Connie as Samuel.
I love this dude.
He was funny.
I love him.
Yeah.
I don't like any of them.
I loved him.
I have 4 wives and I don't like.
I have 4 wives and I don't love any. I liked him. Like whenever they'd have after they'd go hunting for the day, they'd come back and they'd just have their conversations in the evening, around with wine and beer. Those were my favorite parts of the movies, and I just love that he's just, I don't know, he's the hey buddy character that I'm always there for. Maybe someday I'll understand what the hey buddy character is. It is. He's just there. I know, but I just don't understand the concept, I guess, but maybe someday I will. He's there, let's go do it. That's the hey buddy character. He's up for anything. I don't know. I just don't get it.
Half the time I think Ryan thinks we're making up terms.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that is made up. I mean, I've never heard anybody else say the hey buddy character. So I made it up. I did not. You did make that one up. So he did make it up. Yeah, I made it up. I don't. The closest thing I've heard to "Hey buddy" next is whenever you're trying to get beer off of somebody. She's like, "Yeah, sure, why not? Hey buddy, can I get a beer? Hey buddy, let's go fight some lions." Okay. Brian McCarty is Angus Starling. Everybody else on this list, I'm just like, yeah, they were in the movie. I wouldn't say that about Tom Wilkinson. I think Tom Wilkinson is generally the best performance in any movie he's in, and that's the same with this.
I don't know. I think the Lions did the best job.
I mean, he's going quiet a lot, and it's really funny because I'm waiting for him to say something. He's just not saying anything. Okay, what about the Lions?
I like that they used real lions. I keep forgetting that they used real lions.
They mostly use real lions. There are some CG lions in this movie.
Yeah. Those ones stick out.
Yeah, they do. But can't really criticize them too hard for that. It's 1996.
Yeah, they should have used animatronics.
I believe Roar was still in their recent memory, and they're just like, we don't fuck with these things.
The lions they used were from a zoo in Canada.
Lions are cool.
I don't know why they used lions with manes. I guess just because they're scarier, I guess.
Because Savo lions have way higher testosterone and they're harder to train.
But you can get maneless lions that aren't from Savo.
Oh, okay, I guess that's true. They should just shave these ones.
Maybe not.
This movie is not about its historical accuracy, nor its, appropriateness for
lion.
I think the actual reason is that if they used maneless lions, the majority of people who watched it would think they're female.
They think they're chicks, and that's not scary.
In truth, I think that's probably that probably would make more sense.
You know what? Now that you say that, I bet you that was an executive note.
Mm-hmm. I'll kill you all. I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all. I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Okay, scary shit. Is this movie scary?
There are parts that freak me out. It's like when we talked about the Tiger Book. The idea of being dragged out of my tent terrifies me.
but I don't think how they present it is scary.
I think how they presented it in what was the Idris Elba movie, Beast? They did the same kinds of scenes but better, where they would just have a person dragged away and they would just be screaming in the darkness.
I think Beast was more intended to be a horror movie.
Yeah. And with this, it was a lot of like, they'll grab a person and there'll be like this big bombastic music, and there's a lot of these quick cuts and people running around. And to me, it'd just be way scarier if a person, like, they get dragged a little bit and then they're just dragged away.
Screen, and you hear them screaming.
And then the screams abruptly cut off.
I agree. No, I completely agree. Like, the first, like, when the foreman dies, you, like, they follow him getting dragged for, like, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's a little much.
Yeah. So the ideas scare me.
I think, like, filmmaking-wise, the biggest issue I had was both of the lions' death scenes were just way too, like, over-dramatic. It just felt like, I hate to say this, but it felt so Hollywood. Just like the slow motion, the lion is leaping at you. But like, I'm not really sure, like, how else it would have been done.
I would have just filmed it with that, like, just happening really quick and brutally. But I'm also not a paid professional Hollywood director, so what do I know?
Michael Douglas comes out of the ground and wrestles the final lion to its knees.
So William Goldman wrote the screenplay for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which was the first film to use slow motion in an action sequence.
And Zack Snyder saw it and never forgot.
So he's probably like, I'm gonna do more of that.
People really liked that.
Yeah.
That actually that also strikes me as like a Hollywood note. Like an executive goes, this is what people like in their movies.
Yeah.
So put that in this scene.
I'm sure it was a lot more fun in a theater.
Yeah.
Thoughts, the effects?
No, I generally agree with you. Like, both of you. Like, I can see its flaws, but, I mean, again, nostalgia hits me a lot harder on that one.
Yeah, I think this is absolutely a movie I would have 100% dug as a kid. Unless I had preconceived notions about it having ghosts.
Well, yeah.
That may have ruined it for me.
I will never forget how mad I was. In the title.
Oh my God, are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings and Koontz. Daniel, what's your king?
I guess I'm just gonna go with just the lines themselves. Whenever they use like actual lines for the scenes, I enjoyed that.
It's cool. My king is when Michael Douglas died.
My king is Samuel. I think he's my favorite part of the movie.
He's funny.
He is very funny.
Daniel, what's your Koontz?
The lines having named.
My Koontz is when we didn't get to see Michael Douglas die.
That's a very good Koontz. I do feel like the movie would have been like 10% better if we would have gotten to see like a very brutal death.
I believe, and I really believe this, that it was in the script that he got dragged out of his tent screaming. I think they wrote him being dragged out of his tent, and he's like, and he read it, and he's like, we're not doing that. I'm going to die off screen.
I don't want to go out like a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I think that's what happened. He's like, I'm Ant-Man. I don't die like a bitch.
I go up assholes.
My Koontz is actually... This is another movie where I tried to sit people down in my household and be like, watch this movie with me. It's for my podcast. You might actually like it. It's not horror related. have fun with it. And once again, I was disappointed because my sister-in-laws looked at me and they weren't even in it for 20 minutes and they went, this sucks dick. And I'm like, I can't even really argue with you about it because I understand why you don't like it.
Yeah, I didn't even try to get back into it. I was like, they're not going to like this.
I thought it would at least be interesting for them to watch, and they just weren't having it.
Ranking.
It goes below Call Girl of Cthulhu.
This is your new number 7.
Yes.
Above Kakurimbo and below Call Girl of Cthulhu. Ranking. I have it as my new number 22. above Exorcist the Beginning and below Prometheus. I liked it. I thought it was entertaining. It's just a very flawed movie that I don't think is aged particularly well.
You noticed more flaws with the movie than
but it is fun. Like, I think I'm going to enjoy it a lot more the second time I watch it.
Yeah.
We should remake the movie with maneless lions.
No.
It's actually just two Daniels running around the place. Like you and I are the Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer.
No, there'll be no Michael Douglas in our version.
No, we got to, because we got to put you in it.
I'm not being involved.
Yeah, you are. Come on. Be the Michael Douglas to my Val Kilmer.
Where do I have Beast on here?
That's also where I started. I was like, I like it more than Beast, so let's go from Beast and go up.
Yeah. God, Beast is a lot lower than I thought it was.
I guess I could it's number 61. That sounds kind of low.
Yeah, Jesus. I'll have to revisit this list at some point. I go up. I liked it more than I liked Chapelwaite. I liked it more than I liked Sleepy Hollow. Below Dracula.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it really better than Dracula?
Well, I saw Ring Cosmbon, and I'm like,
it's not better than Ring Cosmbon.
I think part of that is just how good of a time I had on that episode.
Yeah, it was good. Okay, so it's your new number 46, below Dracula, and so I had it at 22, you had it at 46, and Hef has it at 7. But
we should add that all together and do a range.
But Hef only has 22 movies on his list. You and I have 110. Okay.
We have watched so many movies.
Yeah. Homework. If you were going to make up a character to insert into this nonfiction story, who would it be, who would play them, and what role would they serve?
Okay. His name is Blades. He's like Blade, but he has 2 blades. And he's part vampire, part human, part werewolf.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he's half lion and he hunts lions. And if it's not about lions, he doesn't care.
No, and he shows up because he hunts supernatural creatures, but he can't do anything to the lion because it's not supernatural. And he is played by me because I am Blade's best friend.
Okay.
I love that.
I brought Blades back.
So, my person would be Jesus. Played by Jason Statham. And what would happen is Jesus actually has to go to retrieve the manes of the lions.
Okay.
And this has to assist John Patterson with it because Jesus is actually a time traveler. And he has to take the manes of the lions back in time so that he can give them to Samson so that he has the hair to be able to lift the Herculean might and be able to get through his story. Otherwise, the Bible can't finish.
I like his answer better.
I would just commission Stephen King to write a magical black person to balance out the magical white people.
Oh, Lord.
And that's what they say. And then they show up and they're like, oh, Lord. They have some Jesus quotes.
He can help her in the retrieval of the mane. It's going to be great. A+ movie.
For further reading, you should probably read John Patterson's book, The Man-Eaters of Tsavo. You can also watch Wanna Devil, which is the first theatrical motion picture based on John Patterson's book.
I kind of want to watch that.
From 1952. I believe it is free on YouTube.
Ooh.
Beast.
Beast. Basically any big cat movie.
Yeah.
If your interest in this is big cats.
Yeah. It depends on what aspect of the movie you like.
There are no ghosts.
Yeah.
There is darkness.
Well, there's no explicit ghosts.
Yeah. They are haunting us for helping a white man.
If you think about it, there's 136 ghosts.
That number may be exaggerated.
We can only confirm about 28 to 31 ghosts, but it may be as high as 136 ghosts or more.
I know that this is the wrong place to bring this up. I just think it's just so interesting that we're at the point in technology where we can pluck a hair from a decades-old dead cat and go, this is about how many things it ate up until its death.
Well, when you eat things that eat meat or you eat things that eat grass, the it leaves a different chemical signature in your skin and hair.
Yeah.
And bones.
This is why George Orwell's book Animal Farm scares the shit out of me, is because one day I foresee being very concerned about a pig uprising, and they're going to pluck a hair from me, and they're going to know how many of their kind I've eaten.
But they were always wrapped in shrimp. Or they always wrapped you around shrimp.
I think if you put bacon in front of a pig, that pig would stop caring.
That's a line in DC Super Pets. So the pet store that they're in catches on fire, and one of the main characters is a pig, and so she's in her cage, and there's fire all around her, and she goes, "I smell bacon and my mouth is watering. There's so much to unpack here."
They do eat anything. It's actually insane. Nothing's left. You want to kill somebody? Get you a couple pigs, kill them, and just feed them to the pigs. You'll never know it happened.
That's what almost happened to Dorothy. Upcoming on the Horror of Babylon, our next 2 Sunday episodes. This Sunday we're doing Wizard and Glass by Stephen King. We are no longer going to be doing Dark Tower episodes on the first Sunday of each month. We are now going to do 2 months between Dark Tower instead of 1 month. So our next Dark Tower episode after that one will be the first Sunday in June, not the first Sunday in May, because we have stuff to do. But we are going to be doing the following Sunday, April 14th, the associated short story, The Little Sisters of Eloria by Stephen King, which is the Dark Tower short story. Then our next 2 bonus episodes on April 4th and April 11th are going to be Four Horsemen's 2 episodes for the month, where we are watching and reviewing Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You.
I love the title.
Yes. Thank you to our patrons, including Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben, the 4th Patron of Hope, and Mia the 5th, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain, yo.
And thank you to Sierra the 6th, the Keyblade Patron. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall of Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at fourhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it in the store, say hello to the proprietor, Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas, who only has 1 wife, but he hates her as much as Samuel hates all 4 of his.
I don't believe that for a second.
No, it's not true.
He seems like a madly in love guy.
No, he is. He loves his wife very much. That's just the first thing that popped into my head.
Buy a safari hat, Ron. I want to see you in a safari hat.
He doesn't cover that beautiful dome in hats.
For $10.
10 doll hairs.
10 doll hairs.
Yeah, he might do it for 10 doll hairs.
In my wallet right now.
Okay.
That's yours for you wear a safari hat just long enough to take a picture.
Thank you guys for watching The Ghosts and the Dark. Ghost and the Darkness.
I believe we should thank you.
I liked it. But this happens every time I watch a movie based on historical. I'm not picking on this movie particularly. Anytime. Yeah. Except for The Last Samurai. I give The Last Samurai a pass
because it's
in everything.
Because it's like 90% fiction.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah. Is like, if you're going to go loose, go loose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, see, now that I have an example.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just do The Last Samurai.
I haven't watched that movie in a long
time.
I watch it.
Fight the lions.
I probably watch it once, like every 1 to 2 years.
That's a movie. That's another one we should do for this podcast.
We can do it whenever we get into the Shogun universe. There you go.
How are you coming along with that?
I'm about halfway through.
Okay.
So you only have like 5 more years to go.
I mean, if you all are wanting to do it, like, you just let me know and I'll put a booker on it.
We have to make a spot for it in the schedule.
I mean, I don't know the schedule past May, so
it's got some yellow.
I was gonna say it's pretty.
Got low yellow.
Yeah.
With June, I mean, I would say August. I could probably do August.
We've got Goosebumps in August.
I mean, like, what's that? Or would it be a bonus episode or a regular episode?
A regular episode.
I mean, August 11th.
Back to back with Wolves of Kala and Shogun.
Oh.
Trying to kill us.
Trying to kill you? You already read it.
Yeah, but I gotta reread it. I read it like 2 years ago.
I want to be able to get the characters' names right.
Yeah.
When do we get done with
2025?
Oh, do we?
Yeah, I mean, if we're doing every 2 months, then we're not gonna. I think we'll read the last one in like January or December.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you want to fit it in anytime after August is fine with me. I should be able to finish it by then.
Okay.
Then we will add it to our revisit list.
You all think about it.
Let me know when you're about 3 weeks away from being done with it.
Let me know when you're about a month away.
Okay.
All right, make mine a month too.
Sure.
Because I'm busy these days.
I understand.
Okay. Thank you to our patrons. Stay tuned for our socials and stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
Thanks, scary. Fuck me. I forgot. Fucked up. Stay scary, folks.
I would fuck you, but I have Star Wars to watch.
Understood.
I would also fuck you, but I have to do the gym and then go on date night number 3.
All right, fuck.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/thehorrorofbabylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.